Welcome everybody back into Nerd Sesh. As always, I'm Carson Bradford. Alongside me is Logan Camden. And Logan, we are now looking at an even NBA Finals, 4 games deep, tied 2 games apiece. But for a good portion of tonight, it didn't look like it was going to end up that way. We've talked so much about all of the clutch heroics that the Pacers have pulled off, all of their historic comebacks. They enter the fourth quarter tonight comfortably leading. It is the Thunder who outscore them by 14 in the final period, and it is the Thunder who escape with a win in this game under incredibly weird circumstances. They made 3 3-pointers in this entire basketball game, Logan. That is the fewest threes made by a team to win an NBA Finals game since the Boston Celtics in 2010. How did they manage to pull off a win in this one?
That's ridiculous. I mean, this is a statement victory for OKC. You're down 2-1. Your back's against the wall. We all know what a 3-1 series lead means effectively for the team that's trailing. It's a death sentence. It's only happened 13 times, a 3-1 comeback in NBA playoffs history. It's only happened 4 times in the conference finals and once in the NBA finals. So this was a game that you could not possibly lose. This is a back against the wall scenario where you got to answer the call. And that's exactly what Oklahoma City did. They trailed by 7 points coming into the fourth quarter. And you mentioned it, dude. They're down. They lose the 3-point differential battle by 24 points. You're not supposed to win games like that. They lose the assist battle 21-10. And that's where I got to tip my cap to this Oklahoma City defense and to Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. SGA had 24 points in the Game 3 loss, and it looked like going into the fourth quarter could put up another 20-point game and go out sad. It's the exact opposite of what he did. He had 35 points in this one, 15 in the fourth quarter, and he went 10 of 10 from the line. He was the best player down the stretch, and he put this game to bed. And I got to applaud Oklahoma City, one again, for their defense, but for them continuing to stay physical and not letting up. They beat the Pacers by 14 in points in the paint in this game, and they stuck with their identity. They hold Indiana to 17 points in the fourth quarter, and I got to give credit to J-Dub for his consistent aggression, too, offensively. That's what I thought it came down to, man. The consistent physicality that you got from Oklahoma City and them not giving up. Like, I was scared for OKC going into the fourth quarter. And also, Carson, you were talking about the weirdness of this game. I don't want to get too far off track, but it felt like Indiana convincingly won that first half despite what the scoreboard told you. Like, I thought they were the much better team in that first half, and Oklahoma City was lucky to be in the game, really, after a first half like that. And so, an incredibly resilient victory for the MVP and this team as a whole, man. A statement victory, because we've seen this, like you mentioned. This team has faced moments, and they have crumbled under the pressure in this series, too, against Indiana. That was not the case tonight, man. They slammed the door on the Pacers.
Boy, this was an incredibly strange game, man. And I almost feel like I'm still trying to make sense of it in real time, because I am. Like, it's insane that OKC found a way to win this basketball game. I thought that their offensive process was as bad as I've seen it all year. They were living off of tough twos this entire game, as the Indiana machine through 3 quarters was able to create their normal shot quality. They're putting the defense in rotation. They're getting the drive and kick game going. That ball keeps moving. They're getting good corner threes, and they're making them. Like you said it, man. OKC shouldn't have been as close in this game as they were. It didn't feel right. The offense was ugly and it was ineffective. And then in the fourth quarter, they really win this game on the back of their defense. Like, yes, Shai steps up with huge shot making in the final stretch. He has 9 straight points. He ends up outscoring Indiana 14-7 in clutch time. Part of that is also intentional fouling and free throws, but a massive stretch of consecutive buckets from him. But overall, Shai did not play a good game today. He becomes the first player to have 35
points. Say Shai had
0 assists. No, Shai did not have a good game today. Absolutely not. Shai was
Carson,
really good.
He had 35 points, man.
Logan, he had 0 assists.
I don't put all of that. I don't put all of that on him, man. I put some of that on the. I mean, like,
is he creating good shots that guys are missing? No, he wasn't moving the ball.
You wouldn't say this was a good SGA game.
No.
Carson, he had 35 points.
Oh, and he has 35 points every game.
He did last game. That was the difference in this one, dude. I think it's kind of ridiculous to say this wasn't a good SGA game.
I can't believe you're saying that. Through 3 quarters, did you not think this was one of the worst SGA games of the year?
Like, I mean, it was a disappointment,
but shot making.
It was a disappointment. Don't get me wrong, but like he had 20 points still going into the fourth,
and 0 assists, and he wasn't efficient with those 20 points. He wasn't getting almost anything easy at the rim or at the line. It was tough 2 after tough 2, not creating opportunities for his teammates. Like, I give the guy all the credit for stepping up in the clutch the way he did. I also think if you are going to give Shai credit, this was definitely a better defensive effort from him than last game. I thought he made a number of plays where he's fronting guys. He's making it difficult to get them the ball in the post. He blocks Hallie off of a switch. He made some defensive plays. But no, dude, with the standard I hold him to as an all-around offensive engine, it's not just about getting his with good volume on meh efficiency. It's about leveraging his all-time scoring threat into creating great offense for his teammates. And yeah, he's seeing packed paints, but you have to penetrate and you have to make the kick out passes and you have to make the reads and you have to trust that your teammates are going to make shots, even though obviously they struggled shooting from deep, but they're not getting threes. You attempt 17 threes in this game. Absolutely, I thought that this was a subpar Shai game, but he was the best player down the stretch. I really do think that OKC won this game with their defense, though, and specifically down the stretch, they kind of turned Indiana's offense into what theirs had been for so much of the game. And what I mean by that is switching everything. Indiana got very preoccupied with basically just isolating Chet and trying to go at him. And Hallie made some really nice plays on drives against Chet where he was able to score. He was able to punish that switch. But down the stretch, he misses a step back 3 going at Chet. Then Andrew Nembhard misses a pretty well contested step back midi over Chet's length. Then Hallie tries to go at Chet, gets legitimately clamped, kicks out to Miles Turner, who airballs a 3. So their offense stopped being this very selfless, majestic ball movement. Let's create the highest percentage shot. And it devolved into more one-on-one offense that wasn't super effective. And then at the end of the day, like, Indiana just didn't make shots and they didn't even make free throws. Benedict Mathurin misses 3 free throws in the final minute of this game. Meanwhile, OKC is making their tough shots. And that really is where you have to give Shai credit, but really impressive how they were able to stagnate this Indiana offense in the fourth quarter. I also thought it was a huge play by Lou Dort when he blew up that handoff and was able to get a steal and a transition chance going the other way. Like, their activity, their execution defensively, their speed, it was all pretty smothering and really impressive down the stretch. And I think you got to give some props to Chet Holmgren for his contributions in this fourth quarter on both sides of the ball. And really, the thing that I would give OKC the most credit for in this game is finding a way to win when you're not at your best, because I didn't think that they were anything close to that. I thought that their offense was totally out of rhythm. Obviously, they shoot poorly, but also they're not getting good shots. This was an ugly game, and their backs were against the wall. They're down 10 late in this game. Like you said, do or die spot, man. I don't care how great you are. The odds of you coming back from down 3-1 on the finals are thin as hell. And it's really reminiscent of what they had to do against Denver in game 4. That was a series where they had been shaky through 3 games and 3 quarters, and they were down going into the fourth, and they pulled through in that one too. So this OKC team is really interesting because there are so many stretches where you look at them and you think that's a juggernaut, one of the greatest regular seasons ever, and they've had some utterly dominant stretches of this postseason. And then there are the stretches where you like, are they making the right decisions? Are they ready to knock down these big shots? And you kind of feel like no for moments. But then in the absolute do or die spot in the Denver series, and now in this game, they found a way. I think OKC has to clean up a lot offensively. I was deeply unsatisfied with their offensive performance in this game, but they won this one. And now they have a chance to figure those things out. And they are the talented, better team. But they have to be better. They won, but they have to be better. But when you can win a finals game, when I'm saying you have to be better, game 4, down 2-1, that's an accomplishment in and of itself. And it's a special quality for an OKC team to be able to pull this off with their youth on the road. It's huge. I mean, it's season saving.
Quite literally. I don't want to undersell, like, the reason that OKC won this. I mean, Shai came up huge in the fourth. Like, I get that. I want to give the defense a ton of credit. It's the hallmark of this team. But, like, I just don't want to just wipe away that Shai put this team on. Like, he put the team in the backpack. The offense was stagnant. And I don't want to
Why
put
was
all,
the offense stagnant, Logan? Why was the offense stagnant?
nobody's moving. I don't want to just put all of this on SGA. Like, I think that's a component too. Like, I felt at moments in this game, I'm like, there's not guys moving off ball. They're ball watching. It's like,
I thought he missed some cutters for the second straight game. I didn't think that he was good dealing with doubles. You know how I feel about Shai, man. He just wasn't good in this game.
my thing is, end of the day, he put him in the backpack and carried him across the finish line. And that's what SGA does. And back against the wall, there's nobody else that I trust more in the league to do that outside of maybe Jokic. Like, it's him and Shai. And he delivered tonight. I just don't want to. I don't want to do that. He got them across the finish line. And obviously there were some Indiana missteps along the way too, but I thought he was still pretty damn good in this game.
Really? That's crazy to me.
I mean, like, I can overlook the bad first 3 quarters for him going, all right, y'all, hop in.
I guess. I mean, that gets this to like C- Shai game for me. It doesn't override that for 3 quarters I thought he was bad, and I thought their offensive process was bad. And like J-Dub too, he gets his in this game, and you give him credit for that, but he also has the 4 turnovers, which are costly. He has a negative assist to turnover ratio. Like all game, man, it's these 2 guys who live inside the arc and who at times can live off of specifically tough 2s if they are seeing these loaded up paints. Now, I actually thought that J-Dub was better at finding some driving angles, getting all the way to the rim. I thought he had some really nice finishes, but he's also taking some of his signature tough J-Dub shots. That's one thing that big picture, and maybe even within this series, both of these guys have to figure out: manufacturing efficient, self-created offense from beyond the arc. Because Shai has to be able to get that step back 3 going when you're dealing with a loaded up defense like this, especially if he's not going to be selfless as a playmaker. Like, that's a way he can avoid the traffic of it all. And he hasn't had it going. He makes 1 big 3 off the catch in this game, but he didn't make any of the step backs. He doesn't take a lot of them. J-Dub goes 0 of 3 from deep. It's just hard when you're fighting an uphill battle from beyond the arc, and OKC like did the maximum difficulty version of that challenge tonight.
Well, and some of the spacing I thought was a little bit off at times with Hardenstein. He wasn't out there a ton, but I didn't love that. I mean, Kaysen Wallace was just off in a way that I rarely see Kaysen. Like, he has his bad games, but I thought he was uncharacteristically bad offensively in this one. But like you mentioned, man, it was the defense. I thought their ability to recover off of initial advantages created was really, really impressive. Swarming is the exact right word I'd use for Oklahoma City. They're so good at recovering. And then you got to tip your cap to Alex Caruso, who is just a superstar role player, man, and does it again in this one. 20 points, 3 boards, 7 of 9 from the field. He has 5 steals in this game. Carson, in these playoffs, he's giving you 10, 3, and 3 on 64% true shooting with 2 steals a game and half a block a night. Like, the guy just brings you complete winning impact, elite defense, supplemental playmaking and shooting, and he's just an all-star role player, man. Like, Caruso is, and what I love is his poise, man. That veteran, Caruso is always in the spot that he needs to be, man. Just can't teach that shit, man. It comes from experience and IQ, and he doesn't fear the moment, man. He's got that championship experience. He's been huge for OKC in this series, and he's massive, massive in this game, man. You can't undersell his contributions.
No, you really can't, dude. I mean, it's legitimately one of the great role player postseasons that we've ever seen. This guy has had an elite winning impact in every one of this series. He single-handedly destroyed Jaren Jackson Jr.'s will to live and brought OKC back into game 3 of that series when they were down 30. Single-handedly is a stretch, but let me be hyperbolic because this dude is absolutely game-changing. We saw what he did to Nikola Jokic in game 7. We saw what he did to Julius Randle. We've seen what he's done to all these teams' offenses. It's not just his switch ability. It's not just guarding these bigger forwards. It's his instincts off ball. It's his ability to make these huge, timely swing plays with steals and even making plays at the rim. Offensively, it is his instincts, man. Always in the right spot. How many perfectly timed baseline cuts and finishes has he delivered in these playoffs? How many effective transition pushes has he given you where he's getting to the rim and he's getting to the line? 2 offensive rebounds in this game. He has a big putback. There is a possession that is like potentially season altering for OKC to start the fourth quarter. They're down 7. They have ball. If I remember correctly, they're trying to get the ball to Shai. He's being aggressively denied, and it ends up devolving into shit. I'm Alex Caruso. I've got the ball on the perimeter with 4 seconds. What the hell am I going to do? He hits this little fall away contested 15-footer. Like, those are the sort of magic moments that you need to summon to win a game like this. You need to summon to win a title.
Did he hit a lefty floater too, or am I tripping? He hit something lefty tonight. I don't know if it was he may have hit one right-handed floater and then a lefty layup or something like that, but it's like, this isn't normal stuff for role players to just hit that switch and knock down these shots, man.
It almost feels wrong to call him a role player, but he is at the end of the day. He's just as high impact as a role player can be, but everything he does is role player stuff. I mean, he's one of the handful of best defensive players on the planet, but he'd
be a starter. He would be a starter on almost every other basketball team on the planet.
He should be a starter on this basketball team.
I agree.
My friend. But come on, dude. In the finals, averaging 15 points, 2.5 steals per game, incredibly efficiently, 72% true shooting. He has 5 steals and a block in this one, just all over the floor. He's been the most consistently comfortable three-point shooter off the catch for OKC. Unbelievable. He closes every big game for them and absolutely is their 4th best player. I don't think there's any question. There's been a number of games where he's been their 2nd best player. Game like this, you could argue he was their best player, man. And in those key moments, he made those key winning plays. And that's where I want to give Chet credit too, because Chet had some rough moments in this game, but I do feel that his impact is always underappreciated, because I just think generally defense first players are underappreciated because it doesn't always show up on the stat sheet. But I mentioned that stretch early in the fourth quarter where Caruso makes a couple big plays. That's where Chet comes in huge, man. 2 putbacks. He has 6 points and 6 rebounds, 3 of them offensive in the fourth quarter. And I mentioned how he was able to stand up when he was targeted off a number of switches down the stretch. Indiana couldn't score when they were trying to go at him. Like, that's big time stuff, man. With the twisted ankle as a second-year player, when your shot has been off, and I want to be clear, he has to find the 3-point shot. Like, it's off right now and he's not trusting it. He doesn't look confident in it. But to find other ways to make an impact when this is new to you and the expectations are high and you're not 100%, I just thought that was so big. And I thought that, like, you talk about guys not moving, Chet consistently is in the right places, man. He's either cutting or crashing at the right time over and over. And I thought that his work on the boards was huge overall. 15 rebounds in this game. Massive, especially when you need him to anchor the 5, because OKC was the slightly better team on the glass today. And that's big. That's huge. Them being able to win the possession battle. They didn't dominate it, but you look at that fourth quarter, those second chance points are pivotal, and Chet is delivering them to you.
Yeah, Chet was huge in this game, man. And I agree with that actually too, Carson. I think Oklahoma City could do a much better job of finding easy opportunities for Chet and like feeding him. There are times where it feels like he almost gets lost in the shuffle with this team and where he can get phased out of the offense a little bit, where, I don't know, I want him to get more touches and I want him to get more opportunity. But I did think that SGA and J-Dub did enough offensively tonight. And I was impressed with J-Dub, specifically his consistency of getting downhill, man. At a point in this game, I mean, J-Dub I'm pretty sure he was 5 of 13 from the field, man. And it's easy to fold up and to turn away. But he didn't.
He got a lot of free throws, though. A lot of free throws off drives.
11 of 11. I mean, and they needed every single one that they got from him, man. And it's what they always say, you know, when your perimeter shot is off, get downhill, be aggressive. You're going to be rewarded for it. And I really thought Oklahoma City was rewarded. I mentioned this earlier. Plus 14 points in the paint were rewarded for being the more aggressive downhill team tonight. And I thought it was reflected with their performance. But Chet was great, too. And him in transition, he's got a couple of big plays there where he's blowing up stuff at the rim and making sure that Indiana's not getting easy. And Caruso, too. I mean, everybody. It's all hands on deck. I was really impressed with their transition defense, too, in this game, man.
Absolutely. Super impressive transition defense. Chet did make a couple of big plays defensively at the rim. I thought that it ended up being a pretty good all-around game from him. Again, he's got to find that three-point shot, but he took advantage of a couple of opportunities as a driver. Again, he also had 1 or 2 out-of-control drives that I didn't love from him. But if you look at the two guys who we're singing the praises of, man, in terms of just making that like winning impact, not with scoring, not with some of the flashy offensive stuff, Chet and Alex Caruso both end up plus 14 in this game. It's by far the highest on the team. J-Dub and Shai, they were both just even when they were on the floor in terms of plus minus. Isaiah Hartenstein -7.
Dude, I was going to say, before we move on to the Pacers, you want to talk about Dagnall's decision to start Hartenstein? I thought it was pretty foolish.
Didn't like it, man. Didn't like it at all. Give your thoughts first.
I mean, I think that, like you mentioned, dude, I would be starting Caruso with Chet Holmgren. Like, that, I think, is the clearest and best starting five that you've got. And honestly, I didn't mind them starting Kaysen up to this point, and I didn't think he had been a negative. I thought the defense today, I would have benched him. And I was glad that they took him off the court. Kaysen was, like I said, he looked flustered. He was missing open shots. He blows a couple of layups and a floater that just, Kaysen never misses. It's just easy stuff for him. And so he looked a little rattled tonight. I would have moved off of him, but I didn't understand the switch to go with Hartenstein early where, again, you kind of have to run actions through Hartenstein sometimes offensively to like mitigate his limited spacing concerns. And so that can just limit what your offense can do and how dynamic they can be. But then defensively, it's like, I feel like he's getting picked on a ton in space and he's slow. That's my big thing with Hartenstein. And again, the double big looks, go to it in spaces, in lineups where you feel like you could exploit Indiana's lack of size, go to it. I thought there was still, I thought he was bad in his minutes, but I don't know, man. I'm not ready to just turn back to the double big lineup. I'm really content with Chet holding down his own. And especially when I'm playing Hartenstein, just like let him have his own minutes, man. You mentioned it too in the tweet, bro. I mean, all the stats back it up. Like, it wasn't a good lineup in the regular season, and it's not something I would be relying on to win you a game. I thought that was incredibly foolish by Dagnall to start this game.
It was a good lineup in the regular season, but it wasn't as effective.
Like as effective as when they're... Yeah.
Exactly, because OKC is so great that basically every lineup was a good lineup for them. Where it's been a clearer difference has been in the playoffs, and I've harped on this a million times, but I will continue to because I feel like the broadcasters are doing such a disservice to explaining why it made sense for Dagnall to change the starting lineup, why we talked about it as being a key that we wanted to see coming into the series as being the most logical strategically. They just continue to act confounded. Like, why would you ever go away from this look? And there's a couple of clear reasons that they did so. First of all, they're best defensively with Chet at the 5. All of the data supports that. And if you just think about what you want to have on the floor in terms of defensive personnel versus Indiana, you want to be as switchable as possible. You want to be as fast as possible because you want to stay out of rotation against them. And if they put you in rotation, you want to be able to recover as quickly as possible. What happens in the first 4 minutes of this game, Logan? OKC allows 15 points with the double bigs. Just think about that. You keep that pace, you're going to average 45 points a quarter. You're going to get 180 points in the game. And it's not a coincidence. It's not like outlier shot making. No, they're getting amazing looks. There's a possession very early on in this game that I thought was super telling where Lou Dort gets screened off of Hallie out of the play in the backcourt. And if it's anybody else in the action other than Hartenstein, they can switch there. Even if it's Chet, he can switch there. But when it's Hartenstein, he has to basically blitz or he has to stay on Hallie at the very least so Dort can recover because they don't want to concede that switch. And now you're allowing a 4-on-3 and you allow a wide open 3. I just thought that consistently in the double big looks, Hartenstein was slow on rotations. I thought that early in this game, even when he was the lone big, I mean, they were just targeting him and drop over and over and over again and getting some warm-up looks like that aren't even contested. So he was really bad. They went down 7 in his first shift. He checks out. They immediately went on a 7-0 run. They've been most effective throughout this entire postseason with Chet at the 5. Like, the numbers are staggering. They're a plus 15 net team with him at the 5, and they're a plus 2.7 net team with Chet and Hartenstein. That number will be worse because they lost the double big minutes tonight. And I've only talked about the defense. Offensively, absolutely, I think that things are clunkier with Hartenstein out there, especially because of how Chet is struggling to shoot the ball from the perimeter right now. You put him at the 4, there is more pressure on him to be a 3-point shooter. If it's playing off of Hartenstein making short roll reads, if it's playing off of Shai drawing help, Again, Shai wasn't passing when he drew help tonight, but like Chet has been very effective scoring around the rim, either as a driver getting downhill or with that play finishing. If it's off the roll, if it's off a cut in the dunker spot, just way better offensively at the 5, their best defensively at the 5. So I thought that was bad from Daigneault to change. And I'm like, is the noise getting to you here? Because what really makes you think that the double big look is going to be effective? This is another area where I kind of feel like OKC just escaped with this game. Like Carlisle has been A+ with the adjustments, man. Game 3, I thought was a masterclass in terms of coaching from him on both sides of the ball. And you come into this one, and Daigneault's one big adjustment is like the worst one he could pull out. And then you look at their offensive process and you're like, did you prepare at all? Any counters, any solutions? Or are you just like rolling the ball out and seeing what happens? It's been a concerning series for Mark Daigneault, for sure.
I completely agree. Dude. I couldn't believe that was his takeaway from this previous game, that was going to be the answer to turning to Hartenstein. And I thought the exact same thing you did. Is he drawing conclusions from results and not based on actual, like him just going, all right, I need to throw something, we're going to throw the kitchen sink at it. We just going to see what happens. And then I didn't like their offensive process early. That's where I thought the offensive process was at its worst, when they stagnated, where there was lack of off-ball movement, where they didn't look connected. I completely agree. That's probably one of my biggest concerns about Oklahoma City moving forward in this series.
I mean, you make 3 3-pointers in this basketball game. Is your solution to play 2 bigs at once more? It certainly shouldn't be, especially when you're slower and less effective defensively in those looks. Like, I understand that people have been clamoring for the double big starting lineup to come back. I have been adamantly opposed to it. I hope that they immediately go away from it again. I was scared for OKC in the double big minutes because I was like, defensively, Indiana is going to be able to get what they want against you in a way that they really can't when you do have Chet at the 5, which is how they closed and how they won this game. With Caruso closing, that should just be their starting lineup. Daigneault refuses to start Alex Caruso, but he absolutely should do so going forward. Let's talk about the Indiana side of this, because I really just feel like they lost this game in the fourth quarter. I guess that's the most obvious thing in the world, but they won each of the first 3 quarters. They were the better team. So what did you make of their performance in this one?
I liked a lot of what we got from Indiana in this basketball game. That's what was so strange about it, is because we look at the inverse and you go, well, Oklahoma City only made 3 threes. Dub Indiana. Oklahoma City only has 10 assists in this game. And for most of this game, they did a really good job of limiting
That's a crazy stat.
Right?
Can I just elaborate on that real quick? There have been 6 halves this entire season in which OKC had only 6 assists or fewer. 4 of them are in this series. The entire year they've had 6. 4 have come in the 4 games this series. Like, that ball's got to move, man. And the big picture thing for OKC, who I do still think will win the title, and they had a great season, and all of this is true, and I've been singing their praises all year. But to reach their ceiling, there's 2 things that they need to add. First of all, more elite shooters. Talked all year about Cam Johnson, what a great fit he would be. I just think there's no question, like, you need an absolute money knockdown guy off the catch who can do it with volume. You don't need a lot of
guys. I mean, with how solid OKC's rotation is and how good their shooters normally are, you just need like 1 or 2 more.
Who isn't a defensive liability like Isaiah Joe, like a big forward who can defend capably and shoot the shit out of the ball. That should be a massive priority. And then the other one is they just need another ball handler. They need another guy who can alleviate some of this pressure on Shai and J-Dub, who is maybe more of a natural playmaker. And that guy doesn't exist on this roster right now. I'm a Topic believer. It's a lot to ask when you're saying, hey, man, we won 68 games. We want to get better. Are you, as a rookie, the guy who's going to take us there? Like, I would be inclined to look for more of a veteran established option there. Caruso can do some handling, but he's not a true creator. He's not a true playmaker like that.
I know what you mean. I mean, they were really affected by that ball pressure early on in this game with just some bad turnovers. You get an 8-second violation from J-Dub. Like, they were clearly flustered by it.
It's hard. Like, if you're able to funnel away ball handling responsibilities from Shai, the offense really struggles. And that's what we saw them do to great effect in game 3. And we saw them do to some effect again in this one. That's all I really have to say about OKC. There's not an answer for that in this series, but one more legit ball handler and one elite 3-point shooter, I think that this team then reaches a point where you're like, okay, they're bulletproof. But right now, they're not there. And the offenses look shaky and it has to get better. Please go back to the Pacers.
To wrap that up, I mean, the beauty of that is they've got more assets than anybody else in the league.
That's
So,
for
I mean,
sure.
they can make it happen.
Yep.
I did really like what we got from Indiana's defense in this game, as I mentioned. Limiting the threes, limiting the assists, shrinking the floor, and really limiting SGA. I mean, again, through 3 quarters of this basketball game, I was feeling really underwhelmed by SGA's performance. And I want to give a ton of credit to individuals like Nemhard and Neesmith. Effort, energy, physicality, intensity, and them defending as a team. And even late in this game, Carson, when Oklahoma City is slowly slamming the door, getting into passing lanes, deflections, like they get that steal late at the game that turns into a bucket that where maybe you're thinking, oh, they can make this thing close. And I really like what we got out of Tyrese Haliburton late in this game, where it felt like that was another thing that felt like it was slowly swinging Indiana's way late, even though they had blown the lead already in the fourth quarter. Haliburton is getting to the rim at will and getting easy layups. I don't know what he ends up with. I think it was 8 fourth quarter points, but he felt like he was about to take over and close this game out. You get an elite performance out of Obi Toppin. You got, great contributions out of TJ McConnell in this one. And I thought for the most part, their offense was really selfless in generating great looks. A part of me feels like Indiana just needed to make shots in the fourth quarter and they would have won this game, man. I don't really have a ton negatively to say about Indiana, Carson. I thought they executed their game plan really well. I thought a lot of their guys played well in this. I was disappointed with Miles Turner. Like, if there is a guy that I'm going to point a finger at, I was really disappointed with Turner in this one. But this is a really good game, I felt like, from Indiana. They just didn't close it out well.
Yeah, I tend to agree. It's a make or miss league at the end of the day. And even though they made way more threes than OKC, they didn't shoot it well down the stretch. They end up under 31% from deep in this game. And in the final few minutes, like I said, I did think that OKC legitimately stagnated their offense and forced them into more of that, like, ISO ball, let's just try to go at switches, which is a win for Oklahoma City. Absolutely. If you're not getting put in rotation, if you're not letting them get the drive and kick game going and make the extra pass and all that. I also just thought that, like, their rotations throughout the fourth quarter were crisp. I didn't think that Indiana was getting like a lot of the comfortable good looks from three off the catch that they were getting through 3 quarters. So no question, OKC just dialed that defense up, and that's what they need more of, man. They need to play up to their defensive potential, because we know this is one of the best defenses we've ever seen.
Who do you
think? It
think
didn't look like it last game or through 3 quarters of this game.
Let's go ask, who do you think's been more intense throughout this series?
Indiana. I would say that in the first half of games 1 and 2, it was clearly Oklahoma City. But I would say in the last 2 games, Indiana has really been the tone setter, which is like where this series has gotten so interesting, because there are 2 games that you feel like the team that won wasn't really better. And that's game 1 for Indiana, and that's game 4 for Oklahoma City tonight, where you feel like for the most part, it was the other team who was setting the tone, who was playing the game on their terms. And then you just have this fourth quarter differential. And I wasn't really expecting Indiana to be able to like dictate the terms of engagement in this series like that. So I think that that is a positive indicator. I do think that they've brought the energy and the intensity. Now we'll have a couple days of rest going back to Oklahoma City. So that probably swings back. I don't think it's a coincidence that the team setting the tone for the most part has been the team at home, especially just with how these teams play, how they do feed off of energy. But the offense just really kind of broke down for Indiana down the stretch after being a machine for the first 3 quarters. Part of it is shooting. Siakam got off to a great start to this game, and then they were able to really keep him in check more down the stretch. And he has a couple of catch and shoot looks from deep that I didn't necessarily love. Miles Turner, like you said, man, I mean, just the pick and pop game, not going. He has not shot it well from deep in this series.
As a staunch Miles Turner defender, man, it just hurts my soul to see how inconsistent Turner can be, man.
But I thought he was better than Domantas Sabonis.
We're not getting into this today. I'm not taking the bait.
Today we won't get into it.
I'm not taking the bait.
How many games does it take? Just out of curiosity.
I would take Turner 10 times out of 10, bruh.
That's so interesting because it makes no sense.
Domantas Sabonis can't score the basketball. Granted,
You say that as he averages more points significantly more efficiently without playing with an all-time great playmaker like Tyrese Haliburton. But I digress. I also thought they did a nice job of running Aaron Nesmith off the line in some spots. He goes 0 of 4 inside the arc. But yeah, I feel like the Pacers should feel pretty good about the game they played. The question for them is going to be, what level of disruptiveness does this OKC defense get to going forward? And what Indiana was doing really, really well for much of this game was targeting the defensive weak points for OKC. Ironically, we talk about OKC as being the defense with no weak points, but comparatively, there are dudes who are not as tough to score on as everybody else. Isaiah Hartenstein is absolutely one of those dudes. And so they abused him defensively. Aaron Wiggins checks in, and I thought that he defended better, but he's one of those guys. Isaiah Joe is one of those guys.
Did you ever think about how both of these teams had Domantas Sabonis and how both of them got better after they got rid of him? Did you ever think about that?
Well, yeah, because one of them got Tyrese Haliburton, who's way better.
That's right.
Yeah, you think I don't think that Tyrese Haliburton is way better than Domantas Sabonis?
Both of these teams objectively improved after they got rid of Domantas Sabonis.
Okay.
And now they're in the NBA Finals. So what I'm saying is if the Kings want to win the title, we got to trade Sabonis.
Okay, just to be clear, the Thunder traded Domantas Sabonis in 2017. So it's been a minute.
For who?
Paul George?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't think you even know what point you're making. You're just grasping at straws. Well, I'm talking about real ball over here, buddy. The last guy who Indiana has targeted defensively is Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. And I think that he has had sort of a two-sided performance defensively in this series. I thought that game 1, he was good in the first half, not good down the stretch. Game 2, I thought that he was fantastic. Game 3, I thought that he was not so good. Tonight, I thought that he was really quite good again. 3 steals and a block, and there were a couple possessions where they were able to go at him, but overall, he made it difficult for them to attack him. So that's going to be a big thing for OKC. I think keeping the defensive weak points off the floor as much as they possibly can, and then Shai defending up to his individual potential is going to be a big thing for them. When we're looking at the Pacers rotation, Logan, can we give a round of applause to Rick Carlisle for 0 Thomas Bryant minutes? Thought that was very sharp. Carlisle's cooking, man. Carlisle's pulling out all the stops, and he's cooking.
Yeah, and Obi Toppin's freaking balling, man.
Unbelievable, dude. I mean, some of the shots that he's making versus drop, he hits a floater, he hits a midi, he's got a putback dunk, he hits 2 massive threes. Those 2 massive threes, you know, credit to OKC for responding after that, because that was a big punch.
I'm convinced Toppin just had to lock in, man. Like after he hit those threes early in this series, he has flipped a complete switch where he is just he's confident, man. He's stepping into stuff. He's doing stuff that you just don't see from Obi. Like, it's crazy, man. Sometimes Obi's out of control and uncoordinated, and he has just been, like, like, there's been some defensive lapses, I will say, but, like, those have been few and far between, and he's been so damn effective offensively. I can't say anything bad about Obi, man. He's just been awesome in this series. Defensively, too.
Yeah.
There's a possession where the team, Indiana, forces a shot clock violation, and he ends up with a block. He's had 2 of those in these finals where Indiana's forced him late into the shot clock and he's forced the violation after a block. Can jam everything. I'm impressed, man. I was just way too low, I think, on Obi, dude. I had kind of given up on him after the Knicks.
Yeah, it's been like one of the great turnaround arcs that we've seen from a top pick who seemingly doesn't pan out. And then obviously he just turns into a very good role player, but that's what he's become, a very good role player. And he's had huge moments in this series, 17 points with 5 made threes in game 1, not a crazy stat sheet last game, but gives you 28 good minutes, comes up with 2 big blocks, and of course a huge putback down the stretch of that one. And then he was phenomenal tonight. And you talk about him locking in, bro. He literally did. There's the possession where he has a decent look from 3 off the catch. Like Caruso was closing out. It was going to be contested, but there was only a handful of seconds on the shot clock. He ends up not taking it. They reset, and it ends up being a shot clock violation. From that point forward, if he had a good look, he took it, which is the right thing to do against this OKC defense. I've said it a million times, but windows close so fast against them because of their speed. You're not going to do yourself any favors like trying to repeatedly hunt for the great shot. Take the good shot when you get it, because if you try to force the issue to get the great shot, well, now maybe you're driving into a crowded lane and they turn you over.
I thought some of
Bad
that
things
happened
can
in the
happen.
fourth quarter with Indiana, like paralysis by, overthinking some stuff where they brought the ball back down or had a look that they should have gone to. That can be the only drawback with this Indiana offense sometimes. But I agree on the Obi point, man. And I'm just impressed, man. I can't believe Obi Toppin is playing like this in the NBA Finals, bro.
For real, dude. It's big time stuff from him. And here we are, Logan, at a big time moment. We're tied 2 games apiece. Before we get into our super chats, which we see and we appreciate, where is this series headed from here? What adjustments would you like to see? Let's start with the Thunder.
Don't start Isaiah Hartenstein. Give Chet
Yep.
all the burn that he wants. And again, Carson, we talked about this last episode, and I still feel like Oklahoma City can do a better job of this. But countering beating this ball pressure that you're going to see from them, because it's clear what Indiana is going to try to do to them. Sell out on Shai, get up on them. Don't let anything be easy. But I still feel like there's more they can do on the back end with off-ball actions, if it's, screens and cutters. Like, when a team does this to you defensively and they're bringing all this pressure, I feel like there are opportunities on the back end to beat them with ball movement and speed, and they haven't done that enough offensively. And like you said, dude, play more shooting, man. There's no reason that they end this game, and you should not feel comfortable in a game where you win with 3 3-pointers made. You got to shoot better, but I'm confident if I'm OKC with how great their defense has been. I feel like I can bank on that, and that's what's going to be consistent with this team. But most of my adjustments are going to be offensive, man. I think you need to play Hardenstein less, shoot better, and figure out how to beat this ball pressure.
I agree absolutely with playing iHeart less, and specifically just do away with the double big. Do away with the double big unless Thomas Bryant sees the floor, and then you can bring it out for some minutes then. But if you do want to go with Hartenstein, because there is a trade-off, right? Like, there are things that he does at a higher level than Chet. He's a much better screener who can actually free up Shai there in a way that Chet really can't. He's a better rebounder, even though Chet was great on the boards today. If you want his connective playmaking, that's all good. Just play him at the 5 and then don't go with Chet in those minutes. Don't force the double big minutes. Offensively, I might have to dive into the film to really think about solutions, but I feel like a lot of the things that I suggested last game, they didn't do. And I think part of that is on coaching, and I think that part of that is on Shai. Like, we also didn't see Indiana blitzing him with the same volume that we did in game 3. But one thing that I said is, okay, let's see Chet slipping lots of pick and roll so he can get a good roll, or he can get an opportunity to make off the short roll against a 4-on-3. We didn't really see that in this one. They did end up having Shai screen for J-Dub a good bit down the stretch to force the switch where he gets Nesmith onto him, which isn't bad process, because the job that Nembhard is doing on Shai is so impressive. It has fully exceeded my expectations. I mean, what we saw in the regular season, I thought that Shai was really just able to cook him. Nembhard has been physical. He is quick as hell. He's doing a great job. So, like, yeah, that's fine to get Shai a slightly more favorable matchup, but it's still him going up against the next best perimeter defender for them. I want to see more Shai post-ups, but the thing is, Shai has to be able to make the reads out of the post, because this is an area where he really struggled in game 3. They're doubling from a different angle, and he's just like trying to shoot against the double. That's bad offense. Shai post-ups.
Do you think he's frustrated with his? Do you think he's frustrated with his teammates?
He's not even giving them a chance. He's not giving them a chance to
make
make
frustrated
plays.
with them.
Well, that's not an excuse. Yeah, maybe that is part of it. It doesn't seem like he trusts his teammates. It seems like his solution is, I'm going to shoot my way out of this, but you almost shot yourself into being down 3-1. So I don't think it's been a good offensive approach from him in the last couple of games. I said this after game 3, but I want to see more clearing the side for Shai post-ups, and then he's just got to be able to make the right reads, right? Guys have to move, guys have to cut off of him, but he has to be selfless.
Agreed. I think he needs to be more selfless. I want to see them get Chet more involved too, man. I think there are ways. I know that he's been struggling from behind the arc, but if it's stuff inside the arc, I think he's been excellent. Closeout attacking, like, I would really like to see them. If it's just more pick and rolls, if it's off-ball stuff, like, I just want to see Chet get some more opportunities.
Yeah, I would say probably if you're going to draw stuff up for Chet, which I do have mixed feelings about, because I don't think he's looked the most comfortable offensively in the half court. I think where Chet should absolutely be aggressive is in transition. That's where he racked up all his points early in game 3. That's where his speed advantage is on full display. But I really do like Chet playing coming off of screens if he's able to cut to the basket, or if he's able to curl around and then get a catch around the nail, and he can get to his little mid-range game, or he can attack off the catch as a driver. I think that's effective when you can get him moving in space and you can get him a little bit of an advantage. That's when I think you can draw up more offense for him. So I wouldn't want to be forcing offense to Chet, but yeah, I would say let's design a little bit more offense to him, because like, we just need more movement. We need more dynamism.
100%.
We need more organized offense. We need more guys touching the ball. We need more guys feeling comfortable. We need more guys making shots. So when it comes down to the fourth quarter, we're not all shaky hands. And it's like, I guess we're just going to Shai and J-Dub ISOs and pick and roll over and over and over again. So I do agree with that. Finding a way to get Chet involved, because he is the other guy. Like, you're talking about them playing more shooting. Where's that coming from? Like, Isaiah Joe is the one guy who's a lethal shooter, and he's getting targeted defensively pretty relentlessly.
I mean, just
so
be comfortable with playing Caruso or Kaysen or...
Well, yeah, play more shooting definitely in the sense that don't go double big. Like, you should be able to play 5 out.
Yeah, I mean...
Wiggins just has to play better. Wiggins just hasn't been good in the last 2 games. He has the potential to have that spark, but he hasn't been good.
I mean, they're shooting. I mean, this is consistent, man. It's probably this team's biggest red flag, I'd say, man. And I mean, we identified that coming into this series. So strange. It doesn't make any sense, man. You win a game where you make 3 threes in 2025.
It's insane.
What'd you say, dude? You said this hasn't happened in 15 years?
Not in the NBA Finals.
Like, what the hell?
That was an entirely different planet, too. It was an entirely different landscape in the NBA. It's insane. It's not replicable. They have to be able to manufacture more easy offense. So transition is a huge part of that. They haven't been able to get a bunch of transition offense. That's where, if you can force more turnovers, that's really advantageous. They also have to take better care of the ball.
Exactly.
That's where I look at J-Dub specifically last 2 games, especially. He's been sloppy with the rock. He's got to be tighter. He's got to be more under control, because you can't be going even in the possession game right now when Indiana's half-court offensive process is just sharper than yours. You got to be able to get easy offense where you can, using your athleticism. And I'm talking about some of the adjustments that they can make in terms of like, how can they get Shai in advantageous positions to attack? Part of it is as simple as Shai, be more selfless. Shai, create penetration and look to kick out. Like, Shai, if you draw to quickly get the ball out to a teammate and allow them to attack a 4-on-3. Some of this stuff isn't complex. It's just basic decision-making stuff that he has done at a really high level at some times in these playoffs, stuff that he did masterfully in game 2 of this series, and he's just reverted as he's seeing some really difficult defensive coverage, lots of pressure, really impressive individual defense, but it doesn't excuse him just not doing the right things with the basketball. So that's all stuff that I want to see from OKC going forward, and start Alex Caruso over Hartenstein, as you said. How about for Indiana? Is there really any changes you want to see, or are you just thinking, hey, last 2 games we've dictated on our terms. We just got to play a little better down the stretch, shoot a little better.
Yeah, tell Miles Turner to hit something. Come on, man. Like,
yeah.
I feel like if Turner had a good game, they probably win this one, dude. Somebody else has got to step up other than Haliburton in the clutch. If that's Siakam, if that's Nembhard. I thought Nembhard was going to hit that one.
Over Chet.
Yeah, I really...
Nembhard's going to hit every one of them.
Nembhard's one of those dudes, he puts like I get like a pit in my stomach when he shoots a late shot. I'm like, oh, it's in.
He's got a star feeling. In the clutch, he feels like a star with the basketball in his hands.
Yeah, I would be scared if I was on the other team and he was shooting in the clutch. Like, it would give me like oh no, I already know what's coming. So that to me is big. I just think Indiana needs somebody else other than Haliburton to step up. But I was really impressed with their defense. And the intensity and the detail. Again, I thought, like, just from a team performance, it was really impressive. And I've just been steadily, again, this was the knock on this team and why they couldn't get over the hump and do this. And this defense has been excellent in these finals. And offensively, like, I really like the shots they got to. I really like their process for the most part. I would say protect the ball better. They could do a better job of that as well. And Just keep trying to push the pace, specifically guys that aren't Haliburton, and just try to get them thinking, because Halliburton's great at always getting the ball up the court. I still think there are even more opportunities that Indiana could exploit if everybody was on the same page. But I think they played a really good game. They just didn't finish well in this one.
I'm not touching a single thing with the defense. I didn't think they could execute defensively up to the level that they have in these last 2 games. They have OKC in a rut offensively. Make them adjust, make them figure stuff out. Defense, it's great. And offensively, I still think the process was really good. I would say down the stretch, maybe they got a little bit too in love with trying to hunt some of those tougher jump shots against Chet. And I understand if you feel like you're creating space off the switch, but at the end of the day, those are higher variance shots, those step back jumpers, as opposed to getting past Chet and then again, potentially creating a drive and kick opportunity or just getting all the way to the rim, where I thought that Hallie was extremely impressive finishing in this one. So we saw more of Chet switching for OKC, which is something that I have said I would like to see from them. And it was kind of mixed results, but again, in the biggest moments, he stood his ground. But I liked Hallie's aggression as a scorer. I thought that when he had the opportunities, he delivered for the most part, really outside of that one step back three he misses and then not being able to get past Chet on that possession that results in the Miles Turner air ball. I also like how much they have him off ball. I mean, in the first half, all 8 of his points came with him starting off ball, playing off the catch. He's super effective. If it's shooting from deep, if it's attacking a closeout, getting to the floater. So they're doing the right things. Siakam again started really hot early. Part of the dynamic with him is just like, how difficult does OKC make it to get him the ball? One little thing that I did like from Indiana in game 3 is they weren't as preoccupied with Siakam getting a deep seal. And there was like a possession or two where he successfully got a deep seal in this one. But when he's fighting for that deep post position, that's when it's easier to front, to swarm, to deny him entirely. If you just get him the ball at the elbows, like 15 feet out, and let him go to work, that's when he's been able to get a more clean one-on-one matchup. He's probably just going to complete the process of catching the ball. It's not going to be a turnover. And then if he's in a favorable matchup, he can go to work. Maybe it ends up being, a 15-foot jumper. But if it's over top of a smaller defender, I like that for Siakam at the end of the day. And it's better than a turnover because you can't get him the ball, which happened a couple too many times as this game went along. And that's what happened in game 2. And that's how you can limit his offensive volume some. So that's a little thing, finding the right places to get him the ball. But yeah, I thought that they mostly pulled the right levers. One little adjustment that I liked from OKC, I thought that they stayed home more on TJ McConnell's drives, which is something that I wanted to see them do because TJ is crazy hard to keep out of the paint, but he's not actually very good finishing at the rim. He is much more dangerous when he draws help, collapses the defense, and then creates for a teammate. And I thought that there were a few possessions where, like, yeah, he's getting a deep paint touch, but Aaron Wiggins, with his length, is able to force him to try to finish over him. And TJ ends up only going 3 of 7 from the field. He only has 2 assists in this game. Wasn't as impactful as he has been in some other ones, like certainly last game. Feel like we've broken this one down pretty comprehensively, and yet we haven't decisively said what we think is going to happen. At this point, I think we're going 7. I don't feel as confident at all in OKC's offense as I thought I would. I still think their defense can play better for 4 quarters than they did throughout this one and be a bit more disruptive. I think Shai absolutely can adjust and play better. I think they can shoot better, but I'm not seeing like the sort of separation I thought I would coming into this series. I'm not seeing them really make the most of the advantages I thought that they would have. And I'm seeing Indiana outcoach them. Like, again, sort of set the terms and conditions for this series at this point. So I'm going to bet on their talent and Shai figuring things out and the defense coming through at an all-time level. But I think it's going to come down to the wire, honestly.
Yeah, I got to give my dad credit. I mean, he's been saying OKC in 7 since the beginning. And I know, most people were OKC sweep, OKC 5. We were OKC 6. So I want to give him props. I mean, he said this thing was going to go to distance the whole way. And that was a really, not a lot of people thought that. I'm still going to say 6 just to stay true to my original prediction. But Indiana's the real deal, man. Like,
yeah, there's no question that OKC is the team with more to improve upon compared to this game, right? There's so much that they can do better, but they have to do it better. And they didn't really do it better in this game compared to game 3, other than just playing hard into the final minutes. And that's one more little thing. You get a little bit more rest for Shai in the first half, even though he ends up playing 40 minutes still in this game. And he was able to play harder on both sides of the ball. So that's big. They got worn down in game 3. They were getting beat to the 50-50 balls. That didn't happen in this one. They were the ones getting to the 50-50 balls in the fourth quarter, generating the extra chances. And that's huge. They have to be able to play with that energy throughout 4 quarters. Let's get to these super chats. Brad B, thank you very much for your donation. OKC fan, so I'm biased. Did the refs decide this game?
Thank you, Brad. I don't think so at all. I mean, I know I saw people complaining. Mostly it was about like Shai's physicality and him doing that. I think that defenders are also being really physical with Shai, and so I think that the refs kind of know that, and it's like a push-pull kind of thing. Like they're gonna allow. It's like a wide receiver battling a cornerback up the sideline. You can't call offensive pass or defensive pass interference every single play. It's like sometimes you got to let them play, and I think they struck that balance pretty well. I know there were some other controversial things in this game. No. I thought it was pretty balanced. I thought it was pretty fair. The one thing I didn't like was the flagrant and then the double tech with the Hardenstein Toppin thing. Like that was, I thought Hardenstein and Toppin earned their tees, but I didn't think the call on the floor was right. So that was the only thing I disagreed with. I didn't think the free throws were out of control. I thought, I liked how the refs called this game for the most part. Outside of again, I guess just kind of bogging this game down. I didn't like how they bogged it down.
Yeah, I wouldn't say that I liked how this game was officiated, but I absolutely do not think the refs decided this game. People, when it comes to the whistle, always hyper fixate on what OKC gets that goes in their way. Like it's just an obsession. It's what every NBA fan who is not rooting.
Who
for
knew,
the
Carson?
Wants
when
to be
the NBA pushes
factor.
a narrative, and it catches on, and they push it, other people promote it. Man, it's not really surprising, but it's like it always. Any OKC win, it feels like that is such a sticking point always, man.
Yeah, it's nasty. It's not fun, and I don't really want to talk about it, but we have questions about it, so I will talk about it. I didn't like how this game was officiated. I just thought that there were way too many whistles in general, but I didn't think that there was really a clear advantage in either direction. I thought there were a lot of bad calls. Like you mentioned, I didn't like the flagrant. I thought that Miles Turner got a clean block up top on Chet, and that was called a foul. I thought that Aaron Nesmith actually drew a charge on J-Dub, and that was called a blocking foul. Shai, realistically, I would say pushed off on that bucket against Nesmith. There are a lot of push-offs that go uncalled, like kind of what you're talking about with the mutual contact. But I can see you being frustrated with that if you're a Pacers fan. So absolutely, I think that there are calls that you can be frustrated with if you're a Pacers fan. I also thought that there were a lot of soft calls that went against OKC. I thought specifically the number of fouls called on box outs was insane. And like some of them, they're at a size disadvantage and they're jostling for position and like they actually do foul. You remember the box out call on Shai? That was just like, what the hell are we doing in the second half of a playoff game? He barely touches the guy. So I thought that there was a bad illegal screen call against Chet that Nesmith just completely flopped on. I thought that it was way too much involvement from the refs in general. I thought that they were overdoing it with the foul calls for both sides. But no, I didn't think that there was some great agenda here, man. And we have to stop, just like truly as sports fans. We got to stop, man. You got to stop going to the it's rigged every single time. I'm a Buffalo Bills fan. You know how easy it would have been for me to go to it's rigged on that 4th and 1 call, which, yes, I did think that they converted. I thought that that was the wrong call. But is my take from that, oh my God, they're rigging it so Kansas City can go to the Super Bowl because that's all of it the NFL is motivated by, just raising their altar to Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs? No, man. I think that they saw something different. I think that they decided that it wasn't conclusive and they made their ruling. And sometimes refs get things wrong. When Isaiah Hartenstein doesn't come within a foot of touching the basketball in the 4th quarter of last game and they call it off him, do we have these conspiracies?
I think that tells you right there, like, everything you need to know.
It's so one-sided, man. It's so much confirmation bias, and I'm tired of it. And it's not just an OKC thing, although it is so annoying with them. It's the exact same thing with the Kansas City Chiefs, man, in football. And it's just not what's doing it. These teams win because they're great. point to the call, man, that you say swings the game. You still have so many chances to win the basketball game. How about you make any of your free throws down the stretch? How about you make any of your shots down the stretch? How about you get a stop down the stretch? Like, I'm tired of it, man.
Refs suck. Refs suck. I mean, like, they're just bad. Refs are bad at their job, man.
It's a really hard job. I wouldn't say refs are bad at their job. I'd say it's incredibly difficult to call a full speed game with all of the different things that can be called on any given play with perfect accuracy. It's not reasonable to expect, but no, I did not think that's what decided this game. Ash says, shout out Nico Harrison for making a move so stupid I had to pay attention, leading to being sucked into the NBA. These playoffs have been exhilarating. That's an awesome NBA fandom origin story. Shout out to you.
It is. I mean, it's super unique. But yeah, I'm glad. I think these playoffs have been excellent start to finish, and I have been thoroughly pleased with this final series. It has been so competitive and so entertaining. And I just think that multiple times, like maybe I'm just like an optimist, but like I just thought at multiple points throughout this game, I am so blessed to be watching this. This is such advanced, high-level basketball. And just thinking about how far we've come, like it's so detailed. It's just beautiful, man. I'm really proud of where the product is. And, you know, I know that was such a sticking point for a lot of people during the regular season, but I kind of had the exact opposite opinion. Like, I think the game is so advanced and in such a great place right now. So congratulations. I don't think you could have picked a better time to jump in.
This has been a beautiful display of why NBA basketball is so great. This entire postseason, the level that we are seeing on both sides of the ball, the level of strategic complexity, the level of skill, the level of shooting, the level of depth, the star talent, all of it is just popping off the screen. These incredible down to the wire finishes, these clutch performances, the number of awesome teams, the number of surprises and upsets and great series. It's just been perfect. It's been an A-plus postseason.
We've never had this many good basketball players, and the pool just keeps growing, man.
Yeah, it's incredible. It's incredible. This is easily the best final series that we have seen in the last 3 years. 2022 Warriors Celtics, that was pretty fun, but this clearly has an opportunity to surpass that. I mean, if it goes 7, I think basically on its own, through 4 games, it's on a better pace. Like, the game 1 finish was insanity. Last game was crazy. This game was weird. It was confusing. The quality maybe wasn't the highest,
competitive,
but it was down to the wire again. Down to the wire and competitive for 4 quarters. Yeah, this has been an awesome series, and I told you all it would be. And they tried to talk to me about ratings, and they tried to talk to me about, oh, the Pacers won't even make it an interesting series and all this. And, oh, we hate watching the Thunder and we hate watching the Pacers. You should love watching both of them because they're both awesome, and they're the 2 best teams in basketball, and they have been for a long time, and they're showing it in this series. Terry with 2 dads says the player of the game is Scott the Extender Foster. I think we already gave our takes on that, but thank you for your donation, Terry. And congrats on the 2 dads. Terry with 2 dads has another one. Every time Shai gets double teamed, he looks more lost than someone dropped in the middle of the woods. Tonight.
I mean, yeah, it was strange in this game. I don't really understand how this happens, just because I feel like Shai has been so composed and so good throughout these playoffs dealing with coverages like this. And this was really uncharacteristic. I tend to agree, but I think he's going to be better.
He's got to be better, but it's been a weird postseason for him. It's been a weird postseason for this OKC team, man. Like, they have consistently trended in the right direction in terms of figuring things out, getting better as series go along. I mean, that's been a huge thing for Shai, right? Game 1, he sucked. Game 2, he's been great. Game 3, he has been bad. But then games 4, 5, 6, 7, like, he's generally been pretty awesome. But sometimes it takes him a second to adjust to a new coverage and really get in that selfless playmaking mindset. For him to have back-to-back games like this, where he's not seeing the floor properly, where he's not creating for teammates, that's not good, and it has to be better.
I think it's a tendency that he needs to work on. I think Shai can kind of get that tunnel vision, and I'm gonna get into bucket mode, and sometimes teams can use that against him.
For sure. You just think about, like, the level of maturity that he reached down the stretch in that Denver series, and you're like, let's get that version of Shai. Let's see that version of Shai snap into focus because he has the potential to do it. Eli Switzer says, OKC needs a Trey Murphy and bench ball handler. You're cooking. You're cooking. I mean, Trey Murphy would be incredible too. And he's on a good value deal. That's a trade they could make happen.
Trey Murphy would be a monster on this team, man.
I mean, he's not making that much more than Cam Johnson. Cam Johnson is on a great deal, but Trey Murphy is only making 25 to 27 million over these next 2 years. I would be all in on that. Evil Crisis says, actually can't believe OKC won that. Do we think Indiana has figured out this OKC offense, or was it just a young team panicking on the road? I think they've figured it out as much as they can. I think they've found the best strategy. But as we talked about pretty extensively up to this point, there are answers for OKC. There are ways out of this. And so much of it starts with Shai. And guys around him have to play better. They have to make shots, but he's got to create the shots for them first. And like we talked about, manufacturing more opportunities for other guys. You know, first play of this game was a Lou Dort drive. That was another guy getting involved, and there was very little of it other than that. And Lou Dort's not the guy who I want getting involved. It's pretty much Chet. Chet's the one guy who I think they could drop some more touches for.
Yeah, and I think that I wouldn't say figured out, but they've definitely played them way better than I anticipated coming into this series.
Yes, but nuts on the table, man. Game 4 against Denver, game 4 in this one, down on the road, going into the fourth quarter, not playing your best. OKC finds a way out of both these games. That's a hell of a chapter in their story if they do end up winning the title this year, because we know that they have so much talent, but adversity like that really tests your mettle. It is an area in which you feel like normally experience does help you, and it hasn't always been the prettiest, but they've gotten the job done, and they did so again tonight. Insane game, insane series. I think we've said all that there is to say for now, but we've got another game coming in hot on Monday. Soon we're going to have some NBA draft talk. This series is going too damn long. It's going to be draft eve when this whole thing is said and done. So I think at some point mid next week, we're going to have some draft content for you guys, because we've got takes, we've got thoughts on these prospects. So stay tuned in for that as well. And I hope that everybody has a wonderful weekend. Thank you guys so much for supporting us throughout these playoffs. Hope you've enjoyed the basketball. And if you want more of our conversations and analysis, you can find them all on our YouTube channel. You can listen to the podcast across all audio platforms, and you can follow us across social media, TikTok and Instagram at NerdSesh, Twitter at Nerd_Sesh. Don't go on Twitter, maybe. All you'll see there is Stephen A. Smith spouting about his personal rivalry with Tyrese Haliburton. That guy's the worst. It's really all I've got to say, man. It's really all I've got to say. All we do, everybody in sports media, all the way up from little old Nerd Sesh to Stephen A. Smith, who is probably the biggest voice in American sports media right now, we are all secondary to the sport. All of you guys are only interested in what we have to say because you are interested in the sport inherently. You come to listen to us talk about game 4 of the NBA Finals. Nobody is bigger than the game. Nobody is bigger than the athletes. Stop acting like it. Stop trying to make yourself the main character. Stop always trying to beef with everybody. I'm looking right at you, Stephen A. I don't like you, man. I don't like the way you do your business. And that's all I have to say.
Yeah, I gave that jackass the double bird not that long ago.
Yeah, and I'm calling him out. Stephen A., if you're going to fight LeBron, come fight me.
I think you
aggregate that.
I think you
podcaster challenges Stephen A. Smith to fisticuffs.
I think you knock his ass out.
With my length, bro, he can't get within 4 feet of me. I got
That's what I'm saying.
Wingspan. No, I'm just kidding, guys. I don't think violence is ever the answer. I just think Stephen A. Smith has some bad basketball takes. And I think he's got some bad takes about life.
You're cooking.
And today he condoned some fascism too. So Stephen A., I don't like you. On that note, as always, appreciate you guys. I've been Carson Brabber.
I've been Logan Camden.
And this was Nerd Sesh.